Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Today I'm filling in for the Honorable Bishop Dr. Herbert and Scott for the Bishop's Corner. Hi, my name is Philip Reed and I'm the producer of the show. I have very excited about the program tonight because we're going to go into some details that we all want to hear about. So just stay tuned for some of that. Let me start by introducing some of our panelists. Oh my goodness, we have a superstar panelist. I feel like I picked out the Avengers for this topic. So let's get started with that. First, I'm going to introduce none other than Apostle Lucian Rojas. Hey, Apostle, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, sir. It's good to be here.
Awesome, awesome. Let's take 5 seconds and talk about that program that you're having on June 1st.
Well, on June 1st, I'm having a breakfast, and it's called Empowerment Breakfast. I believe in empowering people because I believe in a holistic approach when it comes to kingdom principles, body, soul, and spirit. So we're having someone coming in that is a real estate person. Then we have a fitness coach, and yours truly will be sharing on the power of investing. So I believe that's needed today in the churches today. People can give what they don't have. And while we tell people to sow a seed and give an offering, we need to teach them how to. I believe the teaching part is the powerful part. So it's on June 1st at 9 a.m. in the morning. We'll have a good breakfast and we'll have a beautiful session. I believe it will be informative, it will be inspiring, and it's only $25. I mean, I would like for some of the folks here to join us. It's right in Brooklyn,
Awesome.
1673 Dean Street. Thank you.
Say that address again.
1673 Dean Street. That's in Brooklyn between Utica and Schenectady.
All right.
Yeah,
Awesome.
at the
Awesome.
at the
Thank you,
International
sir.
Christian Center. Yeah,
You got it. You got it.
June
Thank you so
1st.
much. June 1st. Y'all hear that? June 1st. In person, live, direct with Apostle Lucian Rojas. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. All right. Next, we have Rashawn Thrower. Rashawn, what's happening?
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Oh, that's great, man. Good. Take a quick second. Introduce yourself, Doc.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rashawn Thrower with Block Global Properties. We buy houses for cash. Brooklyn, Queens, and Nassau County. We are a local residential redevelopment company. We've even moved our business overseas to New Jersey. That's a little joke for you New Yorkers. Block Global Properties, we make win-win-win uh, uh, for everyone involved. Thank you again for having me, and have a great evening.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being a part of the program, man. Very informative. If you all missed last week, you missed something. So don't forget to visit our YouTube channel and Phoenix National Network to catch that episode as well. All right, next we have none other than Miss Kim DeGiacomo. Kim,
Good evening.
go ahead. Introduce
Good
yourself.
evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. I am Kim DiGiacomo. My company is KMD Associates. I am known, as you can see from my background, the money multiplier. And we teach people how to accelerate their wealth, attain financial freedom. We all know costs are rising, recessions on the horizon, looming market crash, and many people are facing those uncertainties. And we teach them how to preserve their money so that they're not going to be subject to what's, coming in the future. So um, we have a lot of strategies for people to utilize and help protect their wealth and actually grow their wealth in a time where it's very difficult to do that. So that's what we do.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. What's your website
Mm.
again?
Our website
Moneymultiplierpro.com,
is
right?
www. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, it is. Mhm.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Giacomo. Next, we have the
You're
mighty
welcome.
Leroy. Mighty Leroy, what's going on?
Thanks for having me. So,
Hey, go ahead and
um,
introduce yourself, man. Talk about your YouTube channel.
all right. My name's Leroy. I have a YouTube channel called 40 and Broke. I'm a financial coach. So it's basically what I want to do is just teach everybody the basics of financing and investing, mostly just getting your money under control. And I want to show people that it doesn't take a lot to do it. I mean, my whole premise is I spent 11 years in prison, and if I can crawl my way from the bottom up to the top, anybody can do it. So, and that's what I do. I try to coach people that have been in that type of same position that I've been in and show them, hey, your life has just started. It's not over. It's just started. So that's what I do.
Wow. So when you going to write that book, man? 40 and
I've
Broke.
already written the book. I've written
Ah,
2 books already.
great.
Yep, they're both on Amazon.
Nice.
I've got a book called Prison to Penthouse Prison to Penthouse by Leroy Yancer. It's on Amazon. That's just a financial education book that just basically teaches you how to get out of debt and stuff like that. And then I have another book that's more like an autobiography of the stuff that I went through, and that's called Breaking the Pattern by Leroy Yancer. And you can find them both on Amazon.
All right. I love that, man. Take what you got and
Mhm.
use it. All right.
Yep.
Next, we have the mighty man of God, Mr. Pastor Samuel Brown. Good to have you, Pastor Samuel. Go ahead, introduce yourself, talk about what you do.
Good to be here. Good night, everybody. It's such an awesome, privilege to be on this auspicious program speaking about, I would say, the prerequisites of life in terms of building financial wealth and leaving a legacy for your family. And of course, I am piggying back on Pastor Rojas concerning the church collecting but not teaching how to make it. And so one of my thing is that I am helping the church in general to be able to leave a generational wealth. So when they retire from ministry, they will have something to live on. And of course, it starts with investment. So my program every first Saturday is building wealth, building wealth. So I'm teaching all the good stuff concerning capital gain and losses, you know, how to invest index fund, how to trade, and the whole 9 yards. And it's been going great, and just glad to be here.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Talk about a little bit about where you pastor.
Well, I am an assistant pastor at Horak Ministries. That's in Austin, New York, Westchester County. And my bishop is Bishop Joni Whitaker. And of course, I am a evangelist, preacher, teacher, traveled, minister across the globe. And, to God be the glory. It's just my calling, and I'm imparting knowledge. And of course, also the gospel of Jesus Christ.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. So as you can see, we have an awesome panel here for you. What we're talking about, let me tell you, those of you who haven't been watching, I'm going to tell you what we've been talking about. We've been talking about in how to invest. We're talking about paper investing, right? And Apostle Rojas, Pastor Sam, and Guillermo, who is not here, miss you. We're leading the charge on that. And then we went into the subject of real estate investing, which was last week, and Rashawn joined us for that. Thank you for putting in all that wonderful information from that last episode. So tonight we're talking about transitioning your money. How do you get it from point A to point B and secure it in point C, right? Because, what I've learned is the wealthy minded folks don't put their money in the bank. It's scattered, it's diversified into different vehicles, and they don't go for the 0.002% increase. Right. I haven't heard anybody say, well, yeah, that's awesome. I put my money in my savings account and I got a 0.2% increase after 10 years, right? So we're talking about how to increase your money through compound interest and other dynamic numeric crunches that are beyond my mental capacity, right? I was never meant for math like that. But we're going into tonight how to secure your investments through life insurance, right? But we're going to talk about transitioning your money. So I'm going to ask this question as simple as possible. So after you've invested and you've made some money in your investments, what are some of the ways that you can liquefy that money? What are some of the ways that you can turn that into solid, like cash that you can put in the bank, per se? Go ahead.
Sorry.
Well,
One of the first things you can do is, if you've got it in the stock market, the biggest thing is dividends. If you have dividend bearing stocks, you just, instead of reinvesting the dividends, you pull them out. However, you want to keep that low because you don't want to take more. They say about 5%. That's a number I hear thrown around a lot. If you can take out 5% of your portfolio, the rest should grow just fine without ever touching the principal. So basically what you're doing is, let's say you go by the 5% rule. You just take, if you've got $100,000 in an investment account, you're taking out 5% of that, or $5,000 in a year. Obviously, you're not going to live off that, but we're just using easy numbers. So 5% is it's an okay number from what I've heard, and it varies depending on who you talk to, but 5% is okay to that, and that's what you live on, and that's what you would live on, so that without selling the nest egg that you have, without depleting that.
Awesome. Anybody else?
well, Dr. Phil, you said liquefying your money, and he said getting the cash and putting it in the bank. I don't know if that's solid financial advice. Um,
So how
in
would you
terms of
word that? I'm talking about taking it from the stocks that you can't see or touch and turning it
right.
into Abraham Lincoln and George
Yeah, but but
Washington
but
in your hand.
cash loses
Mhm.
2 to 3% in terms of purchasing power, in terms of inflation. So you don't ever want. There's a saying, you could never get rich by investing in a savings account. So you want, like Leroy said, you want to have in a stable, in a stable environment, and live on the dividend. Dividend can supplement your income, and some people that has a really large portfolio, they can actually live on the dividend. So you can have some money for emergency, whether it's a 25,000 or whatever, but I wouldn't take my money and put it in cash. You know what I mean? I would have it in an index, or
Mm,
a stable investment, because when you get older, you don't want to be aggressive. You want to be moderate. You want to be conservative. God forbid there's a crash or something happen, you have time to recover. That's why I really encourage young people to invest, because time is a powerful leverage in terms of compounding your money. When you invest early, you are so ahead of the game. Doesn't mean you can't do it late, but when you do it late, like if you have money in your 401k and you're about to retire, you ought to take that money out of aggressive and put it in the stable, because you're getting ready to retire because of your age
mhm,
factor. When you're young, you can go aggressive. You can go aggressive and go crazy and make that money and take the chance, because whether it is a dot-com bubble or a housing crash or a COVID pandemic or whatever, you still have time to recover. So
mm.
yeah, I would have enough cash for emergency, but I will keep my money and let it keep making money for me. Let it keep growing. I wouldn't take all my money and put it in cash. If you understand what I'm saying. I'd rather have it in
I
real
got it.
estate or stocks or bonds or something.
I got it.
You
I
understand what I'm
got
saying?
it. I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah.
I got
If
it. I
if
got
I may
so
add to that, if
Like
I may
I
add
I'm
to
got it.
that,
learning. Go ahead.
if,
Go ahead.
if I may add to that, right? Timing is everything. Maturity is everything, right? So if you have your money, say, in a stock market, right, and you're living off compound interest, which is gaining interest on your interest, when you take that money out, has a lot to do with how many taxes you're going to pay on that fund, right? If it's a
Right.
long term,
Uh-huh.
if it's a long term, as you said, if I'm going to live off that interest, I have to make sure that when I cash out that money, I can't do it often, because if I do it often without maturity, then I'm going to be paying a large amount of taxes on that fund. But if I do it once per year, then it becomes long-term taxable, where it's going to cost me way less. So maturity and timing has everything to do with how much you're really going to gain on that 5%, as the gentleman spoke about.
So timing is everything. Go ahead, Rashawn. Go ahead. You don't have to put your hand up.
I'd like to add something to that. Some people, like myself, aren't heavily invested in the stock market. So, getting dividends, you have to have a fairly larger portfolio in order to get dividends. But some people may have their money already in cash, and there are ways to put your cash away into a tax protected and litigation protected account, which Ms. Kim is going to speak about shortly. And also, there are other ways where you can invest your money alongside a real estate professional who is investing in different properties, be it a larger multifamily property, meaning five to 1,000 units, or a single family fix and flip, or even a smaller 1 to 4 family property, where you can invest your cash that you already have on hand into their project alongside them, and you can also get a return on your investment by investing alongside someone. So your cash is earning cash. That's one way where we show people how to make money on their money.
So what I'm hearing is you want to keep your money in the system that's building the interest and making the money for you. You don't want to take it all out, because Apostle, what I've got from what Apostle said is once you take it out of the system, it stops making money for you. Am I right? Is that what I'm supposed to be
Yeah.
hearing,
And
Apostle?
then it will not be able to keep up with inflation, and you're losing purchasing power. Like I said recently, what $40,000 could have done in 1960, it could have buy a house cash in East Flatbush. Today, that
Mm-hmm.
house would worth 900,000 to $1 million. Now, if you take your money and you just put it aside, what happened? It is losing purchasing power. So that same $40,000 that you bought a house in 1960, it's not even enough for down payment in 2024. So keeping cash is not really wise. See, the Bible talks about the 3 talent. The guy who buried it in the ground, rich people make their money work for them. He dug a hole, he was working hard but not smart. So his money lose power. It was taken from him. He lost it. So we cannot put our cash, yes, like I said, have something for emergency or rainy day, but you don't put all your money in cash because you lose it. You see?
So, okay, Apostle, so I feel like we've been taught the okey doke
Yeah, we've been
because
taught cash is king.
we've been taught cash is king. Hold on to your cash, put it under your pillow, you know, put it in a CD account. All of these things are the things that we how we taught to manage money. How
What
do
is a
you
CD,
get
Dr.
people
Phil?
to?
What is a CD? A certificate
I
of
just
deposit, right? No, it's a certificate of
certificate.
disaster. because they don't give you anything on it.
Exactly. Um, there's a great book by it's a really old book by and the author's name is Og Mandino. It's a OG Mandino, Og Mandino. It's the greatest secret in the world. And in that he talks about how to invest your money. And one of his basic tenets is you take your money and you make your money merge with the rest of your money and make it make babies of more money for you.
Right, right.
You take your money
Start a
and you
money
make
family.
exactly.
I love it. Go ahead, Kim.
So, like when we talk about ways of making our money grow, but the important part here is the tax parts of any money you make, right? It's how you can keep more of that money without being subject to tax. And so what we teach some people is called the power of zero, which is a strategy that allows individuals to accumulate wealth over their lifetime that can be taken as income stream using loans that are tax exempt. So when you talk about the stock market, yeah, the stock market's great, but it's like a roller coaster ride, right? You're up and down, up and down, up and down. So, you lose 10%, it takes you X amount of time to get back to where you started to make money again, right? So you want to be able to put your money in vehicles that and one of those vehicles is life insurance, and those are one of the only vehicles that you're able to put money into that you're not going to be taxed on. And that is a powerful tool when you look at, but there are life insurance plans that offer dividends. There's companies out there that give dividends on life insurance. So, being smart about how you're investing your money. Yeah, the stock market's great. I'm not a big stock market person. That's not one of the things that I teach my clients, but there's many streams of revenue that not streams of revenue, places that you can put your money into that's going to be protected from those tax exemptions. Those tax implications, especially capital gains. We teach people, especially high net worth clients, how to put their money into, say, a charitable LLC to be able to shelter their money from capital gains, and then preserving that money for for their future family and their the future generations. So there's many different strategies out there to be able to invest your money in that. The key here is you're making money, but how much you're going to get taxed on, how much you're going to lose. Like when you're talking about selling properties and selling houses, those capital gains, can be huge, and they've raised over the last couple of years to a significant amount. So you want to be able to avoid that at any cost. And it's important to understand those different vehicles that you can use in order to put your money in without getting those tax implications. And one of those things is, say, if you wanted to roll over a 401k, if you're rolling money over from one like a 401k into an annuity or something like that, there's no tax implications because it's going from one qualified plan to another. So there's ways to be able to move your money around without, getting hit with taxes. And then, there's also a struggle of the question of, well, do I do tax deferred now, or do I pay the taxes now and not wait for later? So, being smart about where you're putting your money. And I live by that old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? So if one basket falls, you have five other to fall back on, so that you're not, something's going to give, right? If you got money in the stock market, and like I said in my introduction, the stock market is due for a big crash. It's coming at some point. We just don't know when. So being able to preserve your funds in different ways without realizing that downside is extremely important, right? And like we were talking about, some people can't live on dividends because they don't have enough money in there to be able to live on dividends, right? So the question becomes, how do you grow your money, right? Because obviously we're not putting our money in the bank, right? There's a book out there called How to Be a Sucker or something. I think that's the name of the book. And it's basically telling you the reason they give you a lollipop when you go to the bank is that they're saying, well, you're a sucker for putting your money in here, because now we're going to take your money and invest it 5 or 7 times and make money on your money while we're giving you less than 1%, right? So you don't want to be that sucker putting your money in the bank. So there's many different ways to be able to grow your funds, and life insurance is an amazing vehicle, and we use that for many different opportunities to, say pay off debt or student loans, or save for college. There's many different ways to do that, and it's, like I said, one of the only vehicles where you're not going to pay tax on it. So, and you're not going to get hit with those penalties and things like that. So, yeah,
So,
so
but
that's what I got.
the big question is, I think all vehicles are
Yep.
useful for something, right? Everybody uses it for something, some reason. So the
Right.
big question is, let's say I have my money here and I say, okay, I want to put this into another kind of like vehicle, right? How do you
Right.
transfer funds in this in this universe of investing? I'm asking the big guys here who do it. You guys know this. Rashawn, go ahead. Go first there. Oh, you're
You're
muted.
mute.
You're muted.
Sorry about that. It depends on where you have your money. Because if you have cash, then you can move your cash freely. But if you have your money into a qualified vehicle, which will be a retirement fund, or if you have your money in the stock market, or if you have your money in real estate, once you liquidate that, you have to pay taxes on that, unless you do an exchange. Like in real estate,
It's
you
a
can
1035 exchange. 1035 exchange.
yeah, in real estate, you can sell a property, and then once you identify, you have a specific time frame in which you can identify a new property, and then you can roll your profits into there to delay taxes, not to avoid taxes, delay taxes. And you can do what's called a 1031 exchange. It's based on the rule of the tax code. In real estate, it's 1031. In life insurance, it's 1035. And you can delay taxes, but there's two things in life that are certain, right? We all know what those are.
Death and
There's
taxes.
death and taxes.
Taxes.
Yeah, so we can delay taxes, but we can't avoid them. Okay.
Go ahead, Pastor Sam. I think I see you have something to say.
Yes, concerning the life insurance, everything goes back to timing again. Okay, and I'm gonna live on that. It's all about timing. For instance, and I like to speak transparently in what I'm doing, because then I can relate to it better. With, for instance, life insurance, there's two kinds that most people uses. It's the term life and the whole life. Most whole life does not give you tax deference or give you dividends. It's a term life that does it, right? So based on your premium and based on your age is going to determine, if you have the flexibility to borrow from it, to use it for something, and so forth and so on. And of course, at the end of the day, you can sell it at age 65 and so forth. But the whole life doesn't give you that. So that's one part of the aspect. In terms of the rolling over, it's not financial advice, of course, but there are ways, as the gentleman said, you can delay it. But also, if you plan on having a long-term, say, retirement fund, and I believe they allow you to open like 3 Roth IRAs now, and then you can open some in other people's name, like your sister, your brother, your niece across the street, your children, so forth and so on. There are ways you can do it, but the legal way is that you're allowed 3. So with me, from my personal investment account, I can roll that over into my Roth IRA, delay the taxes, and also keep that into maturity. Or if I'm in the state of emergency where I would say I need some money and my portfolio is down, say the market crashes, my portfolio is down, I can't sell any stock, I could go in my Roth IRA, and what I have in there for over a year, I can take something from that with less tax. I would fall into a lesser tax bracket. So there are ways you can do it. So when I make profit from my margin account or from my personal account, I transfer that money into my Roth IRA account. And especially close to the end of the year, say November, I would roll that money over, that profit over, so to avoid the capital gain, because I only can write off $3,000 each year in capital gain. So if I'm making money and it's going to cost me in taxes, I roll it over into my Roth IRA, let it sit there for 30 days, and then I roll it back over and continue to invest. So there's ways you could do it, but everyone is different.
Right. And what I saw a couple of shakings of the head. So I want to go with Kim, and then I'll go with Rashawn. Go ahead, Kim.
So I mean, just to reiterate on the life insurance, that's a way because to put money in, like you can invest money into the life insurance, you're not going to pay the tax on it, and you're able to take out loans that you can loan money to yourself without any tax implications or without any penalties or anything like that. So if we set up some insurance plans, index life insurance plans, that where you can set it up where it's based on income generation as opposed to a death benefit. So if you have $20,000, you invest that into the life insurance, right? You're not tax deferring it because it's one of the only vehicles out there that's in tax, right? So when you go, so now you want to pay off, I don't know, say you have a car loan and you want to pay that off, you can take a loan against that life insurance, lend it to yourself, pay that off, and then pay that loan back to yourself, right? So you're in essence just transferring money back and forth between the life insurance and yourself. And then every year, it's not like a Roth IRA. You can put a maximum of 7,000, and if you're over 50, you can put 8,000, right? That's the new limit. So if you spread out that money and put some into the life insurance, 10,000 into the life insurance, or 7,000 into a Roth IRA every year, or put it into an annuity, annuities are and Roth IRAs, yes, they're tax deferred, but in a life insurance, you can throw that money into a fixed index, fixed index life insurance, and be able to loan money to yourself that's not going to be taxed. And then when later on down the road, when you go to take that out for retirement, you're not going to be taxed on it either, right? So it's another way to shelter your money. It's one of the only ways out there to shelter your money from the tax implications. So like, Pastor said, you're deferring your taxes, whether it's a 401k or it's a Roth IRA or it's a annuity, you're deferring your taxes till later. So you can, depending on, it could be a 1031 exchange. If you're talking about a real estate, it's 1035 exchange. If we're transferring from a life insurance or, from a 401k to an annuity, or from, whatever you're taking your money to and rolling it over into something else. The minute you take it as cash, that's when there's a tax implication. But when you're rolling it over from one qualified plan to another, you're not going to get those tax implications. But life insurance, again, is one of the only vehicles where you can shelter some of your money, where it's not going to be, you're not going to have that tax implication, and it's not tax deferred either. It's just, there's no taxes, right? So that, that's where I tell my clients a lot of time is put money in there to be able to shelter some of that.
Can I ask him a question quick?
Yep.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. So let's say I don't have a high net worth, and I'm trying to build
you don't have to have
a net worth. That was my question. Right. So I'm almost 50. So I'm assuming on a whole life policy, the premium would probably be a little higher than if I started it when I was in my 20s, say. But correct. I could still, because I've seen very little on this. I've just started getting interested back into it, and but they were saying you take all your expenses and then you find that little bit that you have left after your expenses. Say I have $300 left over after my expenses. So what I do is I set up a policy that $300 goes into, and then I build up say the nest egg in that policy. Let's say it gets up to $5,000, and right, then I can withdraw out. I can borrow up to $5,000, right? And then I'm just paying back the $5,000 plus interest.
Right. So depending on the situation, right? So on a life insurance, right? If you're taking a loan, you have two options, right? Certain plans allow you to take either a loan or you can take a loan where you're gonna pay interest, but that interest is being paid back to yourself. It's not like taking a loan from a bank, right? You're just paying that money back to yourself. If you take some plans let you just take a withdrawal. So you can take a withdrawal without taking a loan, and that withdrawal doesn't have to be paid back, right? It just comes off the death benefit at the end. So you can take a withdrawal or you can take it out as a loan, either or. Some companies give you the option to do both. I know National Life does that. Or you can, like I said, you just take the loan, and if you take a loan, then you pay it back. If it's a small 4%, you know, a lot of people utilize that for student loans, right? A lot of people use life insurance as college planning, right? Because if you take out a student loan, you're paying, 9, 10, 11%. But if you're taking a loan against your life insurance, you're paying a much lower percentage, but you're lending the money to yourself. So in essence, you're your own banker, right? You become your own banker, right? So you're not
Does
paying, you're doing what the banks are doing with your money, basically.
Yes. So when you say you've got that 4% interest, does that go back into your nest egg? So it would be just 4% on
Yes.
top of what you have? Okay, so like let's say I get the insurance policy from ABC Insurance, they don't get the 4%. The 4% goes to me.
No,
So it's basically my money and I'm just paying
correct.
myself and I get the interest also. So that would say, let's say I get $100 and then I pay back $104. Now I've got $104 in my life plan that I can borrow
Correct.
from next time.
Right.
Why do people
Yeah,
not do
it's
this
some.
more often?
Here's what I hear. Here's what I
That's
hear.
true.
Okay, you
Yeah.
basically you put this money into this vehicle, we call it, right? If you
Yep.
borrow from it, you're still paying it back with the
hmm
interest, but it's your interest. So
Correct.
when by the time you've finished paying off that loan, you have paid it off with your own interest.
hmm
Is that what
Well,
I'm
so,
hearing?
so, yeah, so think about it this way, right? When the bank loans money, right? They're getting their percentage, right? So they're
Mhm.
loaning your money out, they're getting a percentage. So they're making money on your money. But it works the same way. You're just lending yourself money and making interest on your own money, right? Because so what happens is when we set up a life insurance plan, we're setting it up where it's based on certain numbers so that the policy, continues on to your 120, right? That's how we illustrate a life insurance plan. So it lasts for your whole life, right? And that the money that grows into that cash value that grows in there will be spread out when you start taking that out, will be spread out for the rest of your life, right? So we are teaching you how to be your own banker. It's infinite banking. It's a concept that has been around for a long time. It's just becoming more popular because people are finding ways to be able to, lower those tax implications, right? Because we're getting taxed like crazy. And where can you put your money nowadays that you're not going to be taxed? There isn't many, right? Yeah, you might defer your taxes. Great, that's great, but you still got to pay it. Maybe your tax bracket's going to be higher later on, or does it make more sense to pay the taxes up front and not worry about it later on, right? That's the constant struggle that people go through is, well, should I pay the taxes now or should I pay them later? Well, maybe my tax bracket's going to be higher
Okay.
later than it is now. But in a life insurance,
So
you don't have those concerns.
that's what Pastor Sam is saying is all really about the timing as to when
Yes.
based on how you kind of maneuver, that's when you say, okay, I'm going to pay
Mm-hmm.
my taxes here and put it here to
Mm-hmm.
kind of like keep it in the igloo uh until I'm ready
Well,
to.
timing's everything in any kind of
Timing
in
is
any
it
kind of
sounds.
investment. Timing's big.
Mhm. That's why they say knowledge is so
That's right.
important because
Mm-hmm.
we suffer for a lack of knowledge. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to just give a quick tip to everyone to hop back in on what Ms. Kim was speaking about with the infinite banking. right? She said that you can pretty much take the money out and use it yourself and then put it back. So with my daughter, when it was time for her to go to college, when she was 12, I started 2 life insurance policies for her. I started 2 properly, properly generated whole life policies. I believe that's it. They're investment grade life insurance policies. And with those, I invest into those every single year. I max out the amount that I'm able to put in there. And then when it was time for her to go to college, I was able to take the funds out and pay for her to go to college. And the policy is still going. And now she's out of college and she just repays it whenever she gets the chance to. And no harm, no foul. She doesn't want to pay it. She doesn't pay it. When she gets some extra money, she pays
Right.
it, pays it. And our next venture is our 2 other ventures since she has 2 policies. Number one is when it's time for her to buy a car, the money that she's been repaying into her life insurance, she's going to take that cash, buy a car, and then she's going to pay herself back a car note. Okay, so this way, when in 3 to 5 years, when the car note is done being paid, she has the car, she has the money, she has the interest, and she has the growth. It's the exact same thing that with her college, and also that's what I do when I buy properties. I borrow the down payment money from my life insurance policy, and then when I refinance the property, I repay it back to my life insurance policy with interest. And if anyone knows anything about how your taxes work, if you have to pay interest, it's an expense to someone. It's income to one place and expense to another. So it's an expense to my business. The interest that's being paid, it's income to me. So
That's
And
deep.
that's
That's
amazing, right?
revelatory
I
right
mean,
there. That's
yeah.
a
And
revelation
think
right
about
there.
this, Phil, think about this. Like people, we're teaching people now utilizing life insurance and just like we were just talking about, is that we help people get out of debt using the life insurance, right? So it's basically loaning yourself, paying off the debt, but as you're paying off that debt, you're creating wealth at the same time because that money, the life insurance, even if you loan that money to yourself, it's continuing to grow because that money continues to go in there on a monthly basis. And you can throw money in there as you need. You can also put money out in there, not above the premium, to be able to continue growing that cash value. And I have a client that literally is buying their house, had bought their house 4 years ago, had 2 car loans, $40,000 in debt, no retirement, no life insurance, 3 kids, 2 kids going to college, right? By the time I was done with them, I'm going to have their house paid off in 10 years. They will have no debt. They will have a life insurance plan and they will have retirement savings, right? All using one plan, right? All using the power of using life insurance and the fact that they're not going to get hit with those taxes either. That's a huge part of life insurance. And it's amazing that, you could see what it does. I mean, his daughter was able to, if I knew education is everything, right? So if I knew back when my kids were younger, that what I know now, it would have been a whole different ballgame because my daughter had to take a student loan. I paid for 3 years of her college, but the last year she had to take a student loan. So that student loan is of 10 or 11%. So now I took my money out of my life insurance now and paid off her debt so that she doesn't have that hanging over her. But if I started when she was younger and started putting that money into a life insurance plan, she would have had plenty of money to go to college. We did that route where everybody went to, which was a 529, right? And that's subject to up and down, right? Because you're subject to the market. And you're also tied to it that money has to be used for college. So if your child doesn't go to college, no, and they don't use that money that you started putting away in that life insurance. Now they got a life insurance plan that they can do whatever they want with. They don't have to use that money for college, right? They're not locked in. So having that ability to be able to be flexible to what you use that money for, and using it for investment properties, using it for whatever, and just paying yourself back. You are your own bank. That's the way to go. I mean, nowadays, using the banking system is not the way to go. And cash, like Pastor said, is not the way to go either. So
I am
Yeah,
learning that.
and building up equity in those life insurance is key because you have plans that
Yep.
allows you to build equity, and after a certain amount of
Mhm.
years, it pays for itself. So I don't have to find this
Yep.
premium every month to pay for it. It pays for itself, and that's a tremendous
That's right.
benefit.
Mhm.
Guys, wait there. Guys, hold on.
just one
I
last thing,
can't.
Dr. Phil, please.
No, wait, no. I know you know you're gonna get your chance. I gotta say this though. I gotta say this. Where were you all like 10 years ago, 20 years ago? I needed this information bad. And now you're giving it to me. I'm going, okay, thank you, but is it too
Like,
late?
why didn't I do that?
Uh,
I should have done that.
yeah,
Never
after
too late, Philly. Never too late.
Rashawn speaks, I want to go to Leroy and Apostle Rojas because you know I want to know, is it too late for people to get started on stuff like this? Like, I know, Leroy, you teach people how to get a handle of their money, right? And I based on your topic and your title, I can tell you had a journey to go through just to get to where you are right now, right? It wasn't like Sesame Street, it was Hard Knock Street. So I know you have a story behind what you got to say. But after Rashawn goes, I want you guys to answer that. Like for the folks that are listening and they're like, but I'm in the negative. I'm in the red. How do I start? How do I get out of the red, get into the black, and at least get some green going in my future? So go, Rashawn, go ahead, and then you guys.
So the concept that we're talking about is called the infinite banking concept. And the whole ideology behind it is if you could take all the interest that you've paid on car loans, on credit card payments, on even mortgages, if your mortgage is small, if you could take all that money that you've paid on different loans, all the interest that you've paid, and then reinvest it into yourself, how much money would you have? And that's the concept that we're doing. That's the concept that we're talking about by taking your life insurance policy and turning that into your personal banking system. That's how you recapture your interest and you grow your nest egg and you grow your insurance policy using the infinite banking system.
Awesome. Wow. All right. Uh, Go ahead, Leroy. Answer that question for me.
Okay, yeah, it's never too late. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 60. What is it?
Mhm.
The guy who came up with KFC, the whatever spices, the guy was like 62 before somebody finally bought his recipe and he made all his money. There's so many stories of people beyond their 60s making, that just have something, they become millionaires. And Guillermo from Finance ABCs. He's not here tonight, but he told me one thing. I remember he told me this when I first started my YouTube channel. I've known him almost my whole channel, a couple years now, since about 2018. And he told me I said something about Dave Ramsey. I'm like, Dave Ramsey's great if you want to get rich in 50 years, And he was like, the 50 years is going to pass anyways. And I'm like, wow. Yeah, that's a great point. He's like, you might as well invest. That 50 years is going to pass, So if you're 60, you're going to live another, let's say 20, 25 years. That's a long time to let your money compound, you know. And like I started 40 years old is when I finally got into finances. Like a little bit of my story, I'll try to be quick about it. When I was 18, I went to prison for an armed robbery and a string of home invasions as long as I am tall. So then I escaped from the county jail. Not the smartest things to do. I spent 11 years in prison, consecutive 11 years. Got in when I was 18, got out when I was 29. And then I spent about 10 years just doing what everybody does. I was living life. I was in debt. I was broke, paycheck to paycheck, So, and then finally one day I was just washing dishes and I come across I think it was a Robert Kiyosaki ad. It was a bank on yourself ad. And I used to listen to a lot of like talk radio, and they have these bank on yourself commercials. And I just went down the YouTube rabbit hole and I found like the budgeting community. And then I just started budgeting my money and I turned it around. And but I never really got into the infinite banking concept. I never really dove into it. And I kind of regret that now as I've been studying it more. But I want to do one caveat from what I have picked up on the little research. You really have to either one, trust the person that's setting it up for you, and they know what they're doing, and don't just pick a life insurance like the Gerber life insurance or whatever that most people got back in the 80s or whatever. I don't, it's got to be a certain life insurance policy. And there's a lot of people out there that they'll fleece you. So you want to know who you're dealing with, what you're dealing with, what you're getting. And like I said, it's never too late. I'm gonna start looking into this whole life stuff because I don't like paying the bank interest. I don't even like paying the government taxes. I hate taxes. I hate everything about them. And it's like, so if I can keep more of my money, if I can pay myself back, then I'm all for it. It's
Yeah.
it's not too late. I always say it's never too late. The best time to Japanese proverb, and then I'll let Apostle Lucian talk. Japanese proverb is the best time to have planted a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. So
Mhm.
I agree
I did the Gerber Life thing. I did that.
1000%. The
I
Gerber
did
life
that.
insurance.
I did the Gerber Life thing. Yeah, I didn't know any better back then. That's what everybody did. Or you go to the hospital, here's the Gerber Life. You got to have Gerber Life. And when my kids got old enough to like 18, they had like $7,000 in there. It was ridiculous. I was like what? Because paying $28 every 3 months, it takes forever. So yeah, it's all about educating yourself. That's really what it comes down to. As long as you understand the concept, and like Leroy was saying, you have to have a good person doing your life insurance because they got to set it up the right way so that it works for you the way it should work, and that's really important. It's very true. So that's what I got. That's all from me.
What do you got to say, Apostle?
Well, everybody uses a different vehicle in terms of investing, and for me, I do what I do, and people do what they do, and some folks into forex, some folks into real estate, stock market, life insurance. You can all make money in each of them. One of the things I know from my experience is, and I don't mean to go against the grain here, but in the whole life, there's a lot of fees. There's a lot of fees. Now, case in point, case in point. I just bought this book. The guy was talking on, I don't know if you can see it
We
here.
can't see it.
You can't see it. All right, okay. Well, the name of the book is The Algebra of Wealth. And one of the things he says, how to find and follow your talent, not your passion, when making career decisions. Everybody says, I'm passionate about this and I'm passionate about this. He says, follow how to find and follow your talent. You could be passionate about something and talented in another area. But personally, hear me loud and clear. I've heard a lot of things about the life, the whole life. There's a lot of fees involved, and fees add up over the years when you compound it. I'm not saying it's not good or people can't make money on it. For example, case in point, I'm going to try to take 2 minutes to say this quickly. When I retired in 2015, I did an IRA. And after 3 or 4 years, I get rid of the financial manager because I was paying him fees. Fees add up over the years. I'm not paying any fees anymore. I'm doing it myself, DIY. And it might sound simple. 1.5% on 100,000 is $1,500. $1,500 by 10 years is $15,000. That $15,000 compound, you know how much money that could have been? So people don't realize how much money it costs for fees. And today now you could invest in zero commission and make money. Now, I tell you something about whole life, and I'm not an expert in that area, but I know term, the premium is cheaper. You get a lump sum at the end, you die, your family get the inheritance or whatever. Whole life, you know, is a bunch of fees. It's a lot of fees, and maybe you guys can address it. I don't want to go against, like I said, the green here. But some people are passionate about real estate. People make money in real estate. People make money in Forex. People make money in crypto. People make money in the stock market. And I want to say this, that the stock market, it really, if you look at history, we're not talking about assuming things. Assumption is the mother of all mistakes. If you look at history, the Standard and Poor, which is the top 500 companies in America, on an average, it goes up 10% every year. When that is compound, 10%. The stock market create millionaires every single day. Let me just read something to you quickly. It says, investing in the stock market remains one of the most tangible ways to become a millionaire. It is available to everyone, and it does not require luck, a rich family background, or entrepreneurial genius. The only differentiating factor is the number of years it takes every individual to get to those millions of dollars. And so let's say somebody has no clue. I can take my money, put it in the S&P, no fees, no getting a dividend, and over the years with compound, it will do well historically. You know, so I am saying it's such a powerful way.
Also,
Yes.
not to cut you off, but I want to give them a chance to respond to the fees, the comment on fees, because we only have a couple minutes left. So tell me about those fees, guys. How does that work?
I'll speak on it, but I won't go into the fees. I'll just say that with life insurance is the very last love letter that you can leave to your family. And how many of us have had a loved one pass on, and unfortunately, they weren't financially savvy enough to have enough to bury themselves. Conversely, how many of us have had a loved one pass on